Saorsa podcast. My name is Duncan Young, and today I have James Mitchell. James is a digital marketing specialist who recently graduated from Chico State studying entrepreneurship. He's working for a startup called Drop Locker and has also started his own business, which is a digital media company called Second Sun Media. Later today, we'll also be recording his podcast, and you can find that in the link or the description. First question is James, who are you? What led you to where you are today?
I'm just a passionate person at heart. I like being creative. Grew up in South Central Los Angeles. Not the best looking place to grow up, but born in Inglewood, was raised in South Central Los Angeles, went to Middle College High School, and after that, I went to Compton College, which was my junior college. And then after that, I transferred to Chico State, and here I am.
Was it pretty common for people from your high school to go to college?
Yeah, it actually was, because
Okay.
my high school was actually a small school. It's called Middle College High School for a reason, because it's inside of a community college.
Yeah.
So while we're in high school, we were allowed to take community college classes. That advocate of just going to college is already, the pipeline is already there. All you have to do is just show up and just learn or want to learn.
Right on. So it's sort of like a prep high school?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's kind of a prep high school.
Cool. And then what was the best moments of community college? How'd you develop your interest in entrepreneurship? And
The best moments of my community college was meeting people and me playing sports. I think those are the best two things, or best moments that I've had in community college. Mainly because off the court, just meeting people, you get to interact with people with different majors and just different cultures, just because of the diversity that's in the college. Also, as far as sports, again, it doesn't get any better than playing on a sports team, and you know that from a Rawlings team.
yeah,
You know how there's
just the
different
team mindset.
Yeah, there's mindsets, there's different dynamics at play, just as far as being collective and being interdependent. I would say overall, those two are my favorite moments in the community college.
Okay. And do you have siblings?
Yeah, I do. I have one older sister. Her name is Michelle Mitchell.
Okay.
And I have a younger brother. His name is Isaiah.
Okay. And are they doing the college route as well?
My sister did, but she ended up getting medically diagnosed. So we had to help her out of that. And then my brother, he just stopped going to college. He went to West LA College for a bit, and after that, he just took the job route.
Okay.
So.
And did your parents go to college at all, or?
My mom, she went to CSUN, and she dropped out because she had my sister.
Okay.
So
So you're sort of first graduate in your family.
yeah.
And then what inspired you to go to Chico State?
I wanted something different. I wanted something new. I wanted to get out of the city, and I wanted to stay close with family. I wanted to still be close without actually being close. And I'm sure you've heard that many times over, why people go from different cities just because of the culture.
I'm the same way. Yeah.
Culture
You love your
swap.
family, but you live some distance from them.
Yeah.
You know?
And during the time.
You need some independence.
Exactly. I was just about to go there. During a time, or when anybody grows up, they just need that. They just need that kind of internal space, or external space, away from their family. That's mainly the reason why I went to Chico State and business. I wanted to learn more about business, and as far as Cal State, this was top 5. So
Okay.
yeah.
Right on. And then, kind of on that note, so obviously there's plenty of famous entrepreneurs who dropped out of college or even didn't go to college at all. So I think a lot of people think entrepreneurship is all about building your own business. College degrees are to prove to somebody that you're capable of, being employed. So for you, what was the appeal of doing college rather than just going straight into it?
For me, to be honest, I didn't have my own business idea. I've kept coming up with ideas, but they weren't feasible, and so I had to keep closing them. So it was hard. It's hard for me to make good ideas. So me staying in college just made me put that on hold. So just so I can keep learning and keep still having that mindset until the idea comes, and then that way I can just jump ship and just start it off. Yeah.
Do you think that studying entrepreneurship has given you a better framework for building a business in the future? Do you think that you're going to have less hiccups down the road? I mean, obviously entrepreneurship is filled with them, but
I think so. Some part of me, because this is weird. This is a weird question because most of the stuff that I've learned about entrepreneurship and business is kind of on YouTube. So in college, they're basically reteaching me everything. But the only thing that would be the difference of me jumping from me scaling my business or me starting from 0 to like 100 or whatever, it would just be my own personal skills because I would have to grow with those entrepreneurial skills and they'd have to match. So like, as far as me having personal values, me being self-disciplined or me trying to be self-disciplined, like there's no way I can get to 100 grand without me being self-disciplined at first. So like my personal values has to grow with the entrepreneurship values as well. Okay. And it has to keep scaling.
Right on. So just always keep learning, and this is sort of, college gave you the framework for being in that continuous mindset. Is that fair?
Yeah, that's exactly it. Yeah.
Right on. A lot of the times, I know there's a lot of disparities within markets from investors, from employers. Obviously, the United States has had a trouble, to say the least, past when it comes to racial issues. What are the unique characteristics of Black entrepreneurs that should appeal to business-minded folks and say drive more investment towards people who generally deserve it? Because I personally don't believe like there's a difference in ability to succeed.
You brought up a good point. There's no difference between the ability. What would you say? Ability to succeed.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm gonna go to the first question. So what it means to like the good characteristics of being Black and an entrepreneur is that you get both sides of the playing field. So like you get a diverse perspective from the community you've came from.
What are those sort of things that like to a traditional investor might be particularly appealing about investing in a Black-owned business or just generally like minority-owned businesses, other than just it's the ethical and right thing to do?
Yeah, that's a really good question. Because everybody has the ability to learn, but not a lot of people has the right opportunities. Just the opportunity, the upside to investing in Black entrepreneurs, the opportunity is huge, just because it's a lot of untapped markets and a lot of untapped, like, just white space in general.
What do you mean by that, like untapped white space?
It's just like there's lots of things you can tap into, like when you invest in like a Black entrepreneur. First off, like its community, I feel like not a lot of things are being highlighted within like Black communities, whether that's an ethical or racial perspective. I feel like just investing in diverse people, you get their sense of culture, their sense of community. And when you look at it from that like angle, there's opportunity, there's white space, just because it's different from yours. Does that make sense?
It's like kind of a new network and new like cultural perspective. I'm a big believer that a lot of cutting edge learning comes from taking previously discovered ideas and combining them with a new perspective. I think that's where a lot of cutting edge like ideas or science comes from, is because you kind of need a little bit of random stuff. And so having like the facts and math plus a background in like way somebody's life went really can add a twist to that can develop new knowledge and new information. So in the past couple of years, it's really come to a head. It's been a problem for many, many years, hundreds of years. So there's been a lot more reporting on injustices towards Black people, and particularly Black men being pulled over, assaulted, murdered in many cases, which came to the head in the summer of 2020 surrounding George Floyd's death. So as a Black man and an entrepreneur yourself, how have those events affected you or shaped where you want to go in the future?
I'd say as a Black man, I think off of that perspective, I just think that it's a good thing that we're having these type of movements just so people can get more educated.
Yeah.
Because that's all it really is. It's just educated. It's just education. Just because, like, if we were to have a dispute about, like, politics,
sure,
for example, if we're both open-minded, we're going to want to explain, like, why our reasonings are justified by our experiences.
Yeah.
And how you can convince the other that your experiences are valid.
Yeah. Like, kind of listen first.
Yeah. Kind of listen first. Yeah. But during, like, political issues or racial issues or whatever the conversation may be, people don't listen. And people are open-minded. So, like, if I were to explain to you my experiences and you have your experiences, and the fact that, we aren't able to listen to each other, stuff like the Black Lives Matter movement, it just people to get educated. You want people to be educated for the people that don't listen. And how that relates to that political like conversation I was just talking about earlier is like when people don't want to listen, you tell them to get educated. You don't have to waste time getting your emotions and proving your experiences are valid. Yeah. You tell them, just get educated. Like, I don't have to go back and forth with you. And that's my perspective as a black man. It's just like, this is one of those examples where people just need to get educated.
Each person needs to have that drive to say, I want to understand.
Exactly.
Clearly, anytime people get together in a large group, that just happening requires a lot of passion. And the fact that so many people got together around the Black Lives Matter movement, no matter what you think of it politically, I feel like that it should show that clearly they have some perspective that's worth, at the very least, listening to, but ideally truly understanding. Because that many people around the country getting together around a cause, it's clearly a cause worth understanding, right?
100%. And that, like, as far as desire, like, it's there shown. Like, clearly, it's, like you said, clearly it's a lot of people showing that this is something that's real. And whether there's people trying to, like, mistreat it or trying to, like, turn it into something that is not, let alone there's still, like, some truth and good in it. For people that don't have a desire to it, again, like, I wouldn't be, as a black man, it's not my job to instill desire into someone else. That's only going to irritate me or irritate them and frustrate me.
Yeah.
Like, I feel as an entrepreneur, I still see this movement as, you know, a way to take on this opportunity. Or, how do I say this? I see BLM as an opportunity. And as an entrepreneur, I feel like people should take ownership into that. And that doesn't mean, like, you know, putting just support Black Lives Matter or, like, just, you know, BLM movement on your on your storefront
profile.
Not just, like, you know, it doesn't have to be just that, because that is a good thing too, is spreading awareness, whether that's unintentional or intentional, whether you do it for the right reason or wrong, like, that's still you know, we still want that at the end of the day.
Within the business world, what can entrepreneurs, business folk do to create a space for justice?
I would say for it to be highlighted in, like, a company's work policy, let it be known, let it be open, let it be discussed, let it also be, you know, just highlighted amongst everyone. Let your work culture know that this is something that they, you know, you care about, depending on, like, if whoever's in front of the company, like, stands by its values. I think it's just one of those topics where it should just be openly discussed among, like, the work environment.
If I'm a CEO, an entrepreneur, and I want to make sure that I'm not worsening the problem, and ideally I'm putting it towards a better trajectory, what actions could I take as in that CEO management perspective or investor, whomever? Again,
I would just highlight in on workers. So if I'm a CEO and I'm not, like, black, if I'm a CEO and I see, like, the BLM movement, or I just see, like, you know, all these events that's happening, I would definitely highlight it, and I would definitely, like, just make it known that, you know, these are the things that's happening, what we stand for, and how those two align, whether the events are negative or positive, how those two align, and just take action. Now, as far as specific actions, every company is different, but it's a benefit if you highlight, not just, like, it doesn't have to be black, white, or anybody. If you highlight someone's, you know, humanitarian value, it should be discussed in a company's culture.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So just create a space where people can talk about it so that they can figure out, like, what that might mean for the business, be it hiring or working with more black-owned business partners.
Right. You're right. Yeah, I see it as a benefit. Like, if I'm a business owner and that has happened, I would want to encourage them to speak up about it if they want to, because that's more opportunity for me. Because, like, if I feel that you being open about this helps you work better or helps you feel more inclined to work harder, I'm all in. Like, I would want to know that so you can feel better at work and so you can, you know, be here for the long haul, you know, just a human.
Just, like, create a respectful environment.
Yeah, because there's a lot of, I know it's, like, a basic answer, but there's a lot of non-respectful, like, environments. You see many companies, like, I keep using highlighted, but that's just, like, the right word right now. But, like, if you just tap into that in each one of your employees it could just be better off for your company.
Yeah.
Like, as long as it's something that's touched and just prioritized.
Right on. So it's generally well known in entrepreneurship that it is an uphill climb. It is constant work. You're always on. You have to be self-motivated. You have to have that drive. So when you slip up or have a moment where you're just like, I can't do this, like you're frustrated, get to a point where you're stuck, do you have any role models you look to? Or
That's a good question. So outside of myself, I talk to my mentors, and I talk to my friends who are like either in the same space as me, just because like we go through the same experiences, or I just talk to my mentors about it, and they usually help me get a clear perspective. And that's outside of myself.
Okay.
As far as like looking within, to be honest, I'm still trying to find my purpose. I feel like that's a huge role in you doing anything, whether it's entrepreneurship or whether it's sports or whether it's any other category. Just finding out your purpose so that when all else fails, you can look down and like, okay, this is why. Yeah. Like I have to go harder or I have to go smarter.
Right on. And then like kind of on that point of mentorship, I know it's almost a trope in entrepreneurship and the business world.
Right.
Who are some of your mentors? What's sort of their backgrounds, and how does that support you in your vision for where you want to go?
She may not know this, but Eva Shepherd is one of my mentors. I've put her up there in my head. We've had some heartfelt conversations, and she's dropped a lot of gems for me and left me with clarity sometimes. And as for Eva Shepherd, in case if you guys don't know, Eva Shepherd, she's actually turned into like a business mogul. She's like... No, I'm serious. She wears many hats. She's a professor. She has her own business. She also runs Chico State, of course.
And Chico State is the space we're currently recording in.
Yeah.
It's an entrepreneurship hub here in Chico. We'll talk about it more in a few minutes.
Yeah. She runs Chico State. She does a few other like off the clock like business ventures, and I think she's also invested in some other business too. That's just her background, and she's for sure my mentor. Another one of my mentors, his name is Pops. He lives in Los Angeles, and he's coached many teams. He's like 72 or 73. Pops, he's so smart. Like he's sharp. He's sharp like me and you. Like it's so crazy at his age. But he's one of my mentors for sure, just because he has that experience of not just coaching, but like.
Was this one of your coaches in junior college or?
No, this is okay. So I played for Pops. He coached a team in the Drew League, competitive summer league, with like pros, D1 players and stuff like that.
And what sport was this?
This was basketball. So like he coached that, and then he put me under his wing. You know, just that second father figure, just like what's going on in your life, like what you need, I got you. Like I work out at his house like most of the time, but he's been a real good help as far as just the mental side. He taught me a lot about meditation and just offering his overall like life wisdom. You know, people just have life experience, and like you can't top that.
Yeah, nothing beats experience. Right on. So we picked up on Chico State earlier, so we might as well hit it now. So you worked at Chico State for over a year, or just about a year?
A year, some change.
What has your role been at Chico State?
My role here at Chico State is marketing intern. So I am behind Chico State, Main Cups, bro with Google, Center of Entrepreneurship, multiple social accounts. I just handle all the marketing, or some of the marketing. There's multiple interns here, but.
What is a good overview of what Chico State is for this community?
Chico State in general is a startup incubator where businesses can come in and rent an office space so that they can like handle their business and stuff. Chico State is also just like a hub of resources, business resources. If you need to find stuff as far as funding or just like
running a podcast, for example, we're running it in this space.
You're running in this space. If you need help with like just business funding or just have business questions, there's Chico State for you.
Would you consider yourself a first generation student?
I would consider myself a first gen.
Okay. So as a first generation student, obviously there's unique struggles, challenges. I recognize the own privilege in having parents who attended college as well as help put my siblings through college, so they sort of understood the system. What were the unique challenges, and what helped you persist through those as a first generation student?
Big challenges. I would say it's more personal. The biggest challenge is like learning things by yourself. Nobody else has ever done it. It's kind of like running a business. I can have talks with my family about like what I do for my business, and they can just give me like positive feedback.
Yeah, they can't go, well, hey, you know, if you really want to succeed, you should join a club, because that's the
because I've done it. Like,
yeah, exactly.
I'm not gonna get that type of answer. Which is,
it's like that mentorship you mentioned earlier. Like they don't have the life experience. You have to learn that life experience.
Exactly. Yeah. That would be probably just the most challenging part. So yeah, learning personal skills and just developing those on my own while like talking to my family or just people I have in my inner circle about what I should work on and stuff. Other keys to my success, I would say, is wanting to learn all the time and just
that kind of drive.
This is a huge question. I'm
Yeah.
not going to even lie because I'm trying to figure out the big points. And another one of my keys to success is just being, just wanting to learn. You've heard what comes after wanting to learn, just like you just being curious and all this other stuff. But like wanting to learn is a desire. You can't shake. Like wanting to learn has to be in you.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's a huge key to success because if you don't want to learn, then you don't really want to reach success. You don't want to see yourself successful. Like
success in college is learning new things, and so if you don't have the desire, no passion, no success.
That's true. And people that don't have success, they'll tell you like, I don't even like going to school. Like they don't want to learn. Like I don't want to learn. But I don't mean to like shade anybody else. But that's just for my key to success. It's just me wanting to learn, believing in people, networking with people, being able to leverage somebody else's ability, being interested in just another person. Like just curious of how they came about, how they think.
Yeah, just showing that sort of like, hey, I respect you. Sometimes that's all people need. I've definitely found the same thing. It's one of those things that allows people to aspire for that. Like entrepreneurship is you have to work with other people, especially when you're an entrepreneur.
Have to. And just getting to know people, I really want to know how they think because like I may be dealing with multiple things and like I might be going about it the wrong way. Yeah. And they don't even have to be like higher than me. They could just be like somebody else that's going through it too or somebody else in general and just figuring out how they're approaching things could just make my life easier or the way I go about things much easier. Yeah. It's both benefits, both sides. Last key to my success would be like being self-disciplined.
So self-discipline is a very difficult thing because the whole idea of having self-discipline requires a level of self-discipline, right? Being able to say, I want to be self-disciplined and follow through sort of is like how do you get better? We'll get better. It's like, so kind of expanding on that, what are some of the keys to your self-discipline that help?
I think if you have a drive, that alone just helps you in all aspects. But on the back end, if you don't have that drive, there should be other tools or other things that you should put in place just to help you bounce back. And those tools being one, if you ever like, for me, if I ever feel like scrambled with multiple things and I don't have the self-discipline to do at least one thing, I know one principle is just to commit to one thing. I think that over everything else is good and it helps me like stay focused. Second thing is just having somebody accountable for being self-disciplined. Like if I'm going to the gym and I'm with somebody that goes to the gym with me, just having that accountability for somebody just to check on me or just to check if I do things right. Same thing with business. Everybody has other people that hold them accountable. Like as a CEO, they have advisors. Business students, we have mentors. There's people that instill that discipline in them just so they won't fall off.
I know what's always driven me, as you said, like finding people that'll hold you accountable. When you have those relationships, for instance, with a podcast, like I feel like I can't quit, which is a good thing because I know it's something I truly want to do because I've told so many people I have to do it, which is good.
Yeah.
But it's like when I don't have that motivation or like I don't want to get up at like 10 a.m. on Saturday or 9 a.m. like I did this morning, I still know like, well, we have this scheduled. I can't let you down. And attaching your success to other people's expectations has always been motivating for me.
Yeah.
If you're liking this podcast so far, please consider subscribing to YouTube, follow on Spotify. Whatever you can do to help would be well appreciated.
Like if you work at a job and you're with all business like individuals, eventually you're going to start a business. Having that environment makes you come to a minimum to where like you can't really help it, but just actually doing the thing that you want to do.
Right on. So you just graduated college, first in your family. Congratulations.
Thank you.
About a month out now. I know I asked Bryce when I interviewed him, what are the new things to adapt to? I mean, technically, you haven't even gotten to the new semester yet. Like, new semester starts in a couple days, so it might not feel real yet. I don't know if I'm wrong there, but what are some of, like, the biggest adaptations now that you're like, I don't have college to, like, anchor me down?
Yeah, I don't think it's hit me yet to where, like, it's like, oh, snap, like, I really graduated. But some things I'm slowly adapting is just continuously making a routine. At first, school is that discipline for you to, like, check in, check out, go to work. In general, like, you usually adapt to school, whether it's, like, your work, because school is long term. So, like, school is that discipline. So, like, it's just me having a routine and making sure that it carries over, whether it's school hours, but just for my work. It's just keeping a routine,
Keeping a routine, right on. When you graduated, you got a job at Harbor.
Yeah.
What has that been like? What have you been doing? What's your position?
Okay. So They hired me as a marketing evangelist, which is somebody that spreads word of mouth. It's
A marketing
evangelist. So
evangelist.
it's
Okay.
actually a word. It's like there's evangelist, there's that word, but
Yeah.
then there's a marketing evangelist, and that has a term for it too.
Sure.
But it's just to help spread word of mouth. I just see it as a marketing assistant. Harvard, the company hired me, and we're working on a project in Chico called Drop Locker. In case anybody doesn't know, a Drop Locker is a where you can store or drop store and share anything locally within Chico within a storage locker. So there's 5 locations.
What would you say is the most interesting part?
I like this project is just because it's interesting. We're starting from zero and we're trying to figure out our customer. We're trying to figure out our audience. So we're trying everything in the playbook. We're experimenting, but we also are funded by our company. So it's not like a regular startup to where we don't have any funds. Like we're already funded. We can just try anything.
Yeah.
So I think that's really the fun part about it.
So you're sort of like an R&D lab at that company. Like
Yeah.
You're just doing experiments with this business model.
Yeah. The overall concept of Job Locker is just to provide an example that other companies can do this.
Yeah.
So this is the use case for Chico, and we're just trying to prove that other companies who do happen to put technology or who do happen to have an app on top of the lockers, they can do this, and we have an example for it, which is Drop Locker.
What's a comparable product that most people would know?
To Drop Locker, the first one, the obvious one, it would be Amazon lockers. Sometimes mistaking it for Amazon lockers, like, oh, this kind of like the Amazon lockers. Like, no, you can't really ship things. This is just for local use.
James, we've talked a lot about how you're an entrepreneur, starting this thing called Second Sun Media. What is Second Sun?
So the concept of Second Sun is just for like the early birds, the people who have routines, the people who wake up early. I have this underlying concept for Second Sun, which is like, when you wake up early in the morning, like you see a first sun, you see it, and it's not as bright, but only the people who wake up early can see that. After that, you go through your morning routine, and you take a shower or whatever.
And the sun's in the sky.
Then the sun sets in the sky, you can see that second sun, and it's much brighter. But only the people who wake up early know that it's a second sun. Not a lot of people know it's the second sun. People think it's their first sun.
I like that. Right on.
You like it?
So
Really?
yeah.
Okay.
I like that. That's a good origin story.
Okay.
What do you do with Second Sun Media?
Second Sun Media is just a way for me to broadcast my skills. So like whether that's being a podcast, taking photos, helping out businesses with marketing, that's what Second Sun Media is. It's a side hustle at the end of the day. I'm trying to monetize my skills that I've developed over the years.
Right on. What unique value do you bring to someone you work with through Second Sun?
The hard skills, photography, editing videos, marketing, posting, like podcast, website design. Some of the soft skills would just be easy to work with.
Me and James.
Yeah, me being James.
Right on. So spending, like you said, a little over a year working at a startup incubator here in Chico, in that sort of marketing point of view, and getting an entire degree in entrepreneurship. What are 5 entrepreneurship tips you have for somebody who's interested in starting their own business?
Network for sure. You gotta network. You gotta leverage other people's skills. If you don't have a skill, make sure you pay someone to do it. Pay someone that has a skill to teach you. That's one thing. That'll save you lots of time. Instead of taking like the long haul and trying to figure it out yourself, try to figure out ways to delegate duties, because eventually when you scale, you're gonna have to do that. So you might as well practice it now, early on.
Yeah.
Make sure you know your finances, and that starts with knowing your own finances before you know your business finances, so that when you do, again, end up scaling, you're able to be more disciplined in that area. Another thing, I would say just keep reading, keep learning, being in the right rooms. Try to get in the right rooms. That's part 2 of like networking. Try to get in the right rooms. Mm-hmm. For me, I know that like as an entrepreneur, I know if all else fails, me being in the right rooms will help me bounce back. I don't have to know anything, but being in the right rooms like helps me succeed. I feel like that works in all cases. People who end up in the NBA or people who play on a sports team, not a lot of people are talented, but the fact that they could afford or they were in the right rooms, they happened to develop a skill and they happened to be good at it, and they eventually was there just because being surrounded by the right people brought them there. So my backbone is, I would say, for anybody else that's entrepreneurship, just get in those right rooms, whether that be clubs, private rooms of like podcast groups. Get in those circles to help you push. And that way, whenever you struggle with self-discipline, they're there to like help you keep pushing. I would say that. Yeah.
Thank you so much, James, for coming on the Saorsa podcast. If you'd like to find more, James interviewed me for his podcast.
You find it on Second Son Media Podcast, at Second Son Media on Instagram and everywhere else. Also follow my photography account. It's Two Son Media, TWO, not the number 2, or at Two Son Media on Instagram. Make sure you like and subscribe to Saorsa Podcast. Shout out to Saorsa, shout out to Duncan for inviting me to the podcast. But yeah, make sure y'all show them some love for doing it. It's good for the community, for real.
Right on. I appreciate that.
Yeah.